Alright guys, welcome back. Now, as you see, I've left my table up here with all our information from Lecture 2. We are going to go over a vertical lookup. This can be very confusing, okay? But if you understand it, then you will have a better understanding of everything, okay? This is very important. If you can learn this, there's no formula you can't learn, alright? And I'm going to walk you through it step by step twice in this lecture, okay? And I recommend that you have it open while you're doing the first assignment because I'm going to ask you to do this, all right? And it's going to be exactly this. I'm going to have you do a grade sheet, and I'm going to have you do it exactly like this, so you can even use this as kind of a template, all right? So what we're going to do first is I'm going to explain the vertical lookup for you. What we're going to do is we're going to tell the vertical lookup, hey, I have a 92%. What letter grade does that give me? And by using this cell, it's going to automatically put a letter grade in there for me. Okay? So I'm going to come over here, and what we're going to do is we're going to make our chart. Now, one of the key things about a vertical lookup is you have to start kind of backwards. So you have to start with the lowest score first. So we're going to put a 0, and we're going to go ahead and put our percent sign there, and then we're going to put an F right there. Same thing here. 60% for a D. Alright? And you see it's kind of climbing. So anything between a 0 and a 60 is an F. As soon as we hit 60, that's a D. So as soon as we hit 70, that'll be a C. As soon as we hit 80, excuse me, that'll be a B. And of course, anything above a 90% will be an A. Alright? So that's our first step. Now, I put this down below here. You can put it on another sheet. You can put it wherever you want. Just keep it, for right now, keep it below the table. I'm not so much worried about looks. If you were printing this off for somebody, you wouldn't want them to see this, but because we're doing it for class and you're learning, I want it to be on the screen so it's easy to find. So, going to come over here, and our first step, we're actually going to go ahead and use the insert function. Alright, I'm going to type it in. I'm going to type in vertical, lookup, and I'm going to press go. And it comes up with a bunch here, but the one we want is the VLOOKUP. Okay, now I know there's a bunch of confusing stuff right here and a lot of words right here, but I tell you everything that you need to put in there in the directions. You just need to know where to put them. Okay, I want you to understand how it works. So we're going to go ahead and we're clicking OK. And the first thing we want is the lookup value. Well, what are we looking up? We're looking up the percentage. So we're going to come over here. We're going to click right there. That's where we want. We want that percentage. Next thing we want is the table array. The table array is what we just typed in. So we're going to come over here and we're going to grab the table array. Array is also, it's used interchangeably with arrange, but this is our table array. This is what we're using. Okay, so far, not too bad, right? So here you go. You see a 0, a 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, tells you what the letters are. The last thing is the column index number. This is what you want to be returned. So if it's the first column, you use a 1. If it's the second column, you use a 2. Obviously, the first column is how we judge what the grade is, and the second column is the letter grade that we're going to give it. So we want to put a 2 there. And you notice that it comes up with an A right here, which a 92.5 should be an A, so we've done it correctly. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit OK. Now, can I use the autofill handle to complete this formula? Absolutely. But to do that, I need to make sure this table is an absolute table. So, come in here and I put my dollar signs in front of where they belong. Make sure that you do not, remember that we're using F16 and G20. Don't put a dollar sign in between the 2's and the 0's because you're going to throw up an error. Okay? Press enter. I still have an A there. So I can go ahead and autofill these. And there we go. A, B, D, C. Now let's say that, oh, we screwed up and he got 100 on this test. Peter got 100 on the 4th test. Maybe he cheated, maybe he didn't, who knows. But we screwed up. But because we have this formula in here, we have our formulas in here, and we have our lookup here, we can easily just change this to 100, and when we do so, it changes everything else. Look at that. It changes this to a 303, this to a 75%, and this automatically goes to a C because of our lookup table down here. Okay? This is more advanced stuff than, probably for an intro class, but the way I think about it is if you understand how to do this, how to put this stuff in, you can do any of these formulas. This is probably one of the harder formulas. Okay, but if you understand this, this has great value. And this will work for anything. I'm just showing you this with percentages for a grade, but anything that you need to look up and assign like a letter or a statement or something like that, maybe if it's greater than 10, it comes back with a true. Less than 10, it comes back with false. You can use a lookup to do that. All right? It doesn't have to be A's and B's and C's, but this is just a good way to do it. And you see how it actually works. When you have a 92, it goes through. Okay, is it greater than 0? Yes. Okay, well, you have an F then. Is it greater than 60? Yes. Okay, well, you have a D. And it checks each one until it gets to a point where it can't go any further. Until it either can't go any further or doesn't meet the requirement. So when it comes here and says 90, it's a 92, it's higher than that, so we give him an A. Can't go any further, so he gets an A. But when we have the 86, is it greater than 80? Yes, he gets a B. Is it greater than 90? No. So he stops at a B. Okay? So let me go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and clear these contents. And I'm going to show you how to do this formula again. And this time, I'm just going to manually type it in. Okay? So if we start with our equal sign, what was the formula name? The VLOOKUP here. See, it even remembers. I can click there and it brings up my dialog box, but we don't want to use the dialog box. We want to do it all by ourselves. So we hit equal. We type in VLOOKUP. There it is. I'm going to double click it. Now, my lookup value right here. Okay? Then I need to put a comma. Now you see it highlights the table array. I want this table. I put a comma. Then I want to tell it to use column 1 or 2. I want to use 2. Put my in parenthesis, press enter. Comes up with the A. Am I done? No. Remember to come in here and make this an absolute value. Okay? You can also highlight this table array like this and press the F4 key, I believe. And there you go. It'll make it. And if you keep pressing it, it'll just do rows, just do columns, do nothing, do all of them. Okay? That makes sure you don't make any mistakes, but make sure you highlight this, because if you don't highlight it, it'll do everything. So make sure you highlight it. Press enter again to click off there, because if you click over here, look, it changes your cell. You don't want it to do that. Make sure you stay on your row and use the F4 key. Okay? Press enter. We've got our A. Do our autofill. So we should have an A, a B, and 2 C's. There we go. All right. And if we come back in here and say, oh, he cheated, we're giving him a 0. We press enter. His grade drops to a 50, and he gets an F now. Okay? See how easy that was? And it makes things so much easier. All right? Now, you will have to do this in the first assignment. So watch this. Make sure you've got it down, that you understand how to do this, but also have it open and ready to go whenever you're going to do this part of the assignment. So best of luck to you guys, and I can't wait to see your homework.